What's up, welcome back to Nowstalgia. Dave here with a review of Gen V Season 2, the superhero TV series on Amazon Prime Video. Of course, a spin-off of The Boys. Gen V, I thought, was a really effective spin-off of The Boys, and I think it makes a lot of sense that it worked as well as it did because The Boys world has been so richly developed over the course of those several seasons that there's just so much lore and room to explore other corners that we're not spending time with the titular boys. And the concept of what the Boys as a world and a franchise is after, still very ripe, still very fresh. Gen V Season 2 makes a really smart decision to effectively reverse the conclusion of Season 1 and bring all of the main characters back to school, back to Godalkin University. The core concept of supes at school, at college, learning how to be better superheroes under the watchful eye of the evil Vought Corporation, that is the core appeal of what makes Gen V work. And I'm happy that we're back to that. We're not wasting much time getting back to it either. Gen V Season 2 is also grappling with the real-life death of Chance Perdomo. His character death is a big aspect of the first 2 episodes of Season 2, and we've learned that 5 episodes had been written that had to be redone due to his untimely passing on the way to filming Season 2. I do think they've managed to course correct as best they can despite the tragic circumstances, and I'm very hopeful for the future of this show just because I find the world of The Boys so ripe and unfortunately so incredibly relevant and prescient as the real life social commentary continues to ring incredibly true. Another key aspect of Gen V Season 2 is its new villain, of course, Cypher, this mysterious superhero character or superpowered character played by Hamish Linklater. Very excited to see Linklater cook. I also really enjoyed in episode 1 the presence of a Supes fraternity. Just some great lines early on in episode 1 here. What soup can't chug 40 seltzers in an hour? They also show us that a former president of this frat at Godalkin was none other than the Deep, of course, from The Boys. That was fun. Seeing butt chugging from a soup and the ability to actually make it happen and not kill yourself like you would in real life. Amazing to see. The name drop of having your podcast on Vaughatify, I really enjoyed. There was a Samurai Turn Pretty name drop, which was incredibly timely. I love to know how late in the game they added that. And yeah, I think Emma, going through it in a sense and self-medicating via being the ping pong ball in beer pong, like just some good stuff there. Kind of reminds me of how the Pixar Monsters Inc. spinoff Monsters University had like a frat scene, obviously in a PG fashion, but I just like the concept of like the, binge drinking and a fraternity setting in these like fantastical, lenses. And I think it's fun to spend time there in Gen V. I think in general, what I'm looking forward to a lot with Season 2 is that like we're kind of dispensing with the pleasantries, right? Like rather than like trying to figure out what's going on at school and what bad stuff is going on in the woods and all that, right? It's like no. All of our main characters, at least the ones that are good, they know shit's bad and they're here somewhat against their own will and trying to resist the propaganda that Vought is spewing out of the school, right? I think that's just cool. I think it's just going to lend itself to more plot, as we progress with a lot of these characters. I think Jordan as a character was really successful in Season 1. Looking forward to seeing more of that as well. I didn't love that they immediately spoiled at the end of episode 1 with the look ahead in the season. They immediately spoiled that Kate didn't actually die and that she actually just went into some kind of coma, and then she also comes back to life and is okay and returns to school. That they just dispensed with any suspense. Wasn't the biggest fan of that. However, the concept of Cypher and the school training up all of their Soup students and doing like gladiator style battle technique. Kind of reminds me of how the Harry Potter movies portray the Dumbledore's army, like secret training that was going on in the Room of Requirement. Obviously, in this case, it would be as if like Umbridge was training all the wizards or something, like the bad guys are at the helm here. But it'll still be cool, I think, to spend time with that as a concept. I think it's pretty enjoyable. And yeah, again, like the world and the lens that we get out of The Boys and Gen V, and the presence of Homelander and this totalitarian government controlling corporation in Vought, and lots of very overt and on the nose references to current society and current politics. I mean, it has not worn out its welcome. And in a sense, maybe you wish it wasn't as relevant as it was, but thus remains our current state of affairs. And I think it's just a very intelligent show that still brings you tons of great, fantasy and science fiction on the part of the superheroes, violence that you get from it too. So yeah, I'm with it. Looking forward to seeing the rest of the season. And yeah, let me know. What did you think of Gen V Season 2 thus far? What do you want to see next? Of course, this is a post The Boys Season 5 Gen V. The death of Gloria Newman is a kind of the inciting incident to what's changing at the school. So this is very much like we're the furthest point in the timeline thus far before we get the next Boys season next year. So let me know where you at with Gen V. And for more TV reviews, subscribe. I'll see you next time.